Affairs Committee meeting of Thursday, May 5th, 2016. Thank you. Declarations of interest. See none. Confirmation of minutes from the meeting of April 15th, 2016. Carried. Thank you. This is a public meeting to consider the proposed zoning bylaw amendments listed as item 2 on today's agenda. For the item listed above, only those who make oral submissions today or written submissions before the amendments are adopted may appeal the matter to the Ontario Municipal Board. In addition, the applicant may appeal the matter to the Ontario Municipal Board if Council does not adopt an amendment within 120 days of receipt of the application for zoning and 120 days for an official plan amendment. A comment sheet is available at the door for anyone wishing to submit written comments on these amendments. So I know that Councillor Blais is not here. I believe he's probably stuck in traffic. So we've strategically moved this committee meeting further away from Stephen Blais' ward so we can do things without him realizing. So we have a couple of presentations today. Our first item on the agenda is a presentation from the Ploughing Championships, and we'll get to that in a second. Item number 2 is official plan and zoning floodplain mapping updates phase 1 that the Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee recommend Council approve amendments to the zoning bylaw 2008-250 as shown in document 2 and detailed in document 4. This was originally on our agenda last month at committee. It was deferred, and then it went back through planning committee, and it passed at planning committee I think earlier this week. So on that item, carried. Thank you. Item number 3 is the Ottawa Rural Clean Water Grant Program. I believe we have a report. We have a presentation on that as well. Items number 4 and 5 are both things that I brought forward at the last meeting as notice of motion. Item number 4 is the siting of wind power projects that the Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee recommend Council ask the Province of Ontario to make necessary legislative and or regulatory changes to provide municipalities with a substantive and meaningful role in siting wind power projects, and that the municipal support resolution becomes a mandatory requirement in the IESO process. It's Independent Electricity System Operator. And number 2, that we forward this resolution to the Chair of the Board and President of the IESO, the Minister of Energy, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, and all municipalities within the province. On the other? Carried. Just want to thank you for that. Also, thanks to Councillor Argentieri. Number 2 of that was sort of brought forward because of the comments that you had made at the last meeting when I brought this forward as a notice of motion. And thanks to Jane Wilson as well. She's in the audience here, and she's a part of the group Ontario Wind Concerns. So this is something that hopefully we'll see will move around the province and be able to give some stronger teeth to municipalities to be able to get a better voice. Rural municipalities certainly need a stronger voice when it comes to the IESO's process in their large renewable procurement strategies. So thank you for that. Item number 5 is a review of the official plan and zoning bylaw designations for the properties at 6219 Dwyer Hill Road, 6317 and 6317 Dwyer Hill Road. That the Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee recommend Council direct planning and growth management staff to review the official plan and zoning bylaw designations for properties at 6219 Dwyer Hill Road, 6317 Dwyer Hill Road, Marlborough Concession 7, Part Lot 25, and Marlborough Concession 7, Part Lot 25. There's a bunch of other stuff there that I'm not going to get to. And bring forward for approval any required amendments by Q3 2016. The things I skipped over are merely the little explanation as to what exactly those properties are. It's just a bunch of numbers. So on that item, Carrie, thank you so much. So we do have someone registered for the open mic session, but we're going to do the first.
To the chair?
Yes, of course.
Just on item 4, I know we carry item 4, but where it says send it to AMO and all municipality within the province, can you specifically send it to Roma, Rural Municipality of Ontario, because I think that item will help them as well to deal with?
Yes, that's no problem.
Thank you.
All right, so back to the first item on the agenda, the 2016 Canadian Ploughing Championships. So I'm going to welcome, I believe, Gib Patterson is going to come up, and Alan Hill is going to come up to speak to us. Last year we had the International Ploughing Championships here. Doug Thompson was here to present to us about that. And now we have the Canadian Ploughing Championships taking place over at Anderson Links and just around the corner. A couple properties I'm familiar with.
You know it well.
I do. I used to work for Gibb in my previous life.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity to meet with your committee this morning. My name is Alan Hills, and I'm here today with Gibb Patterson, representing the Ottawa-Carleton Ploughman's Association, as co-chairs of the organizing committee for the 2016 Canadian Ploughing Championships, or CPC 16 as we call it today. And we're joined by Sharon Armstrong, who is the president of the Ottawa-Carleton Ploughman's Association. This event, as the screen says, will take place August the 24th to 27th at Anderson Links Golf Course. The rural area of the city of Ottawa and the province of Ontario have a rich history of competitive ploughing, and we'd like to share a little bit of that history with you today. The first recorded ploughing match in Carleton County took place on October the 8th in 1852, as an activity of the County of the Carleton Agricultural Society. In 1924, a fellow by the name of Melvin Powell of Marlborough Township encouraged other ploughmen from the area to create Marlborough North Gore Ploughman's Association. This association held annual ploughing matches and hosted their first international ploughing match, the IPM, in 1932 at the Central Experimental Farm here in Ottawa. The association's name has changed over the years to the East Carleton Ploughman's Association in 1938, the Carleton County Ploughman's Association in 1952, and the current name, the Ottawa-Carleton Ploughman's Association, or as we call it, the OCPA, in 1976. Our association has hosted the IPM 4 times over the last 80 years. And I draw your attention to the pictures there. The black and white in the upper left is a picture of Mr. L.G. Wallace of North Gore, who is the grand champion horse plower at the 1952 IPM ploughing match in Carp. But a much more newsworthy event at the 52 match was when Mayor Charlotte Whitten showed up to plow in the VIP class wearing pants. The World Ploughing Association and the first World Ploughing Championship developed through friendships formed while Ontario ploughmen traveled to Great Britain to compete, and vice versa when they came here. The international in the IPM, or the International Ploughing Match, comes from that time frame when the Ontario Ploughing Championships featured a number of international competitors. The first World Ploughing Championship took place in 1953 in Cobourg, Ontario, Canada. The first World Ploughing Champion was a Canadian from Ontario, and the third place finisher was a fellow by the name of Robert Timbers of Uxbridge, Ontario. And again, in the upper left, that's Mr. Timbers when he was the young age of 18 or 19 years of age. The Canadian Ploughing Organization took over the responsibility for Canadian ploughing from the Ontario Ploughman Association in 1955, 3 years after the first World Ploughing Match. In recognizing the plough as a symbol of peace, a cairn of peace is erected at each World Ploughing Championship. And the 1953 cairn was rededicated in 2010. And in the lower picture, the left-hand individual is that same Robert Timbers. He was the mainstay behind having that cairn of peace moved and repaired and rededicated in 2010. We're hoping, I was talking to Mr. Timbers last week, and we're hoping to have him plow at our VIP event during the CPC 16 match. Canada has hosted the World Ploughing Championship 5 times since 1953. To qualify representatives for the World Championships, the Canadian Ploughing Organization holds a competition each year in one of its member provinces. And in 2016, this competition will be hosted by the Ottawa-Carleton Ploughman's Association here in Ottawa. The hosting and organizing of the 2016 Canadian Ploughing Championships involves a very dedicated group of predominantly rural residents, including your colleague, George, interested in showcasing the piece of Canada we call home to the Ploughing fraternity from across Canada, and to furthering the art and skill of ploughing. This event wouldn't be possible without the generous support of our community, our neighbors. During that event, 12 competitors from across Canada will compete in one of three classes: senior conventional, senior reversible, and junior conventional. The seniors compete for the right to represent Canada at the World's Competition in Kenya in 2017, and the juniors for a scholarship to Olds College in Olds, Alberta. After 3 days of practice, the ploughing competition will take place Thursday, Friday, and Saturday of the event week. A number of dining events and social opportunities are part of this week-long event, and we'll look at more of those details a little later. And just some of the details of the event. Anderson Links Golf Course was mentioned. Here is Anderson Links at the corner of Leitrim Road and Anderson Road. Headquarters for the event will be Anderson Road. Tractors will be marshaled or parked at Jill's farm, property owned by the Patterson family, where Gibbs' daughter Jill lives and her husband and family. That's where the tractors will be parked. They'll do all their practicing at this location. They'll plow there on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Back over on Anderson Links, the VIP, this area here circled in red is where plowing will take place. Specifically, the Canadian Championships will take place in this green area. The local Ottawa-Carleton match will take place in this browner area. The official opening, the VIP plowing, will take place here on Wednesday. And then all the plowing will take place here on Saturday. There will be an antique plow display in this location as well on Saturday. This is our tentative schedule of events. We don't anticipate any changes from what's here. There may be some changes to the times that we've added to them, but they don't show here. So although the event is identified as the 24th to 27th, competitors start to show up on Sunday and Monday, and officials show up on Monday. On Tuesday, competitors practice. Tuesday night, there's a wine and cheese and a plot draw where the competitors draw lots for their plowing for the rest of the week. Wednesday, the official opening will take place at 10 o'clock at Anderson Links. At 11 o'clock, the VIP media plowing will take place. The plowers will complete what's called an official practice plowing, and that evening we'll be holding a Ploughman's barbecue, and this year it'll be a pig roast. Tickets will be available for that event. Thursday, there'll be a bus tour of the city for those people that don't want to spend the day out in the field. The championship plowing will begin. There'll be a dinner and an auction Thursday evening. The auction is the major fundraising event for the Canadian Ploughing Organization each year. Friday, plowing takes place. Saturday, our big day, our Ottawa-Carleton Ploughman Association plowing match will be held that day. The Canadian Championship will continue. There'll be an antique and local display. Outside of the banquets and the barbecues, all events are free. There'll be an official closing ceremony at sometime around 3 o'clock, and the awards banquet will take place that evening. Thank you for your attention, and we're open to any questions if there are any.
Thank you very much. I just assume that the winner of the VIP plowing match will also go to the World Championships next year. Is that?
I'm sure you've got some people you could talk to arrange that.
Just making sure. Also, should point out in your presentation, just to highlight it, that when the championships were in Carp in 1952, someone from North Gore won them. So I just thought Councillor Shantiri should realize that.
I do, Mr. Chair, but also I recall winning in North Gore next to your house.
I don't believe that. I don't think that happened, actually. maybe it happened before I was born. I'm not sure. I'm just not quite as old as you. Do we have any questions for the? Councillor Drews?
I'm going to have a hard time with this mic again. I just want to thank Alan Hills for coming here this morning and giving us a great presentation, and of course Gib Patterson and Sharon Armstrong. She's the president of our organization. I am proud member of this organization, the Carleton Ottawa Ploughing match, and I do work with them. I just want to mention a couple things. There is a lots of work. It's been happening behind the scene. Alan and Sharon and Gib, and of course the executive committee has been working, going out, soliciting businesses and working with the city and on all the stuff. But this year, this event, it's a huge in our community. Thank you for keeping the culture going and keeping the plowing match going. The other thing is also that we recognize that how significant this event is going to be. It's going to be between two wards, Councillor Blais and my ward. We're really excited to have all these people coming to Ottawa. Last year we had the IPM in Finch. This year we're having the international, and I'm hoping we keep this tradition going. I just want to thank all the work you guys put behind the scene, the volunteer hours, and everything you do for our community. So thank you very much for being here this morning. I encourage my colleague to come out and challenge us. And I hope this year, Alan, you're going to have a different judges, because last year, I don't know how the mayor kept winning. I just want to bring it out here and just put it in record. So thank you very much, though.
Thank you, Councillor Drews. I should mention, too, I know we had received invitations to the VIP plowing. It was in conflict with the City Council meeting, and that City Council meeting has actually now been moved, or will be moved to August 31st. Not because of this, but just the way the schedule works, it ends up freeing up that morning. So we'll be able to take each other on. Thank you for coming. I appreciate you taking the time to come to our committee this morning and letting us know about the championships. Thanks. So is item 1 on the agenda received? Received. Thank you very much. So we now move to item 3 on the agenda, which is a presentation on the Rural Clean Water Program. We have Julie Robinson and Dixon Weir here for us. Thank you for coming back. I know you were here last year explaining a bit about it, and I know you brought a lot of the councillors out to see some of the projects and whatnot, so I appreciate that as well. You have 5 minutes, Dixon. No, I'm just joking.
Great. Thank you very much, Chair and Council members. As you've mentioned, we're back to speak to you about the Ottawa Rural Clean Water Program. This is a very successful program over its 15 years of life, and it makes a very important contribution to the city in two manners. It's very involved in, obviously, protecting Ottawa's water environment and water quality. But I think not to be overlooked is its important contribution to Ottawa's rural community, and in particular its farming community and farming economy. As I mentioned, we were here in September to speak to you about some important program changes that committee and then council has approved. So today's presentation will deal primarily with the 2015 program that was carried out under the rules that were in place at that point. But I would, and Julia's going to take a moment here to highlight, perhaps to give you a sneak preview of the 2016 annual report and some of the success that we've already been able to experience with the program changes that you approved back in September. So with that, I will introduce Julia Robinson, who is the program manager responsible for delivering this program, and ask Julia to take you through the rest of the presentation.
Thank you, Dixon. You're on.
I'm on. Press it once and then-
Yeah, well, I'm not,
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, you're not seeing it.
I'm not seeing red. Oh,
There you go. Now you go. Now you go.
Oh, I was looking for it
Yeah.
right there. My apologies. All right, well, thank you very much for the opportunity to come back again, and we're always pleased to share the success and the delivery of this program. So just as a reminder, the Rural Clean Water Program is a partnership program with our conservation authorities. It provides cost-share grants to rural landowners for projects that protect water quality. As I mentioned, it is delivered in close partnership with the Mississippi South Nation and Rideau Valley Conservation Authorities. And thank you for my colleagues from South Nation for joining us here today. It is a long-standing program, as Dixon mentioned, funded at $200,000 per year. And in addition to reporting through this committee, we are fortunate to be guided by an external program committee, which consists of members of our local agricultural associations, community environmental and land stewardship organizations, members from our provincial agencies, and I'm pleased, is Gib still here? Yes, he is. So we've been working with Gib for many years as a member of that program committee. Okay, so this will give you a taste of the 2015 program and the projects that were completed. So in all, 57 projects were approved in 2015, and this is a combination of the $185,000, which is the city contribution of grants, which is matched by the landowner contribution. Of these 57 projects, 37 projects were completed in 2015. And the remaining projects have been carried over and will be completed in 2016. So my apologies, when I put this map up, I made it really big and I took the legend off, but the colored dots represent the different types of projects that have been completed, and I'll speak to some of those now. All right, so the most popular projects in 2015 were the stream stabilization and erosion control projects and well decommissioning. As you can see from the top slides, our stream stabilization projects happen in properties all across the city. So on the left there, you've got a property along the Rideau River where the landowner was interested in fixing a failing retaining wall and replacing it with a much more gradual and natural shoreline on the left there. And on the right, we've got a farm property in West Carleton where there's a tributary running right through the field, and the solution there was to both look at a more naturalized buffer right alongside that trib, and then in areas that were particularly susceptible to erosion, looking at a solution there to make sure that that erosion was being controlled. Down in the bottom right, well decommissioning projects are really hard to take photographs of, as my colleagues in the conservation authorities always say when I ask for photos. But I did want to put something in because these projects are really important as a means of making sure we're dealing with any potential risks for contaminants to get into our aquifer systems. And so in addition to these projects, we've also delivered a number of other ones. The one on the left there is proper storage and management of fuel. Again, a critical way to make sure that we're not having any risk to our groundwater. So the program also tracks benefits. So we measure and keep track of the length of stream banks that are being protected from erosion. We look at, we track the areas that were no longer suitable for agriculture that have been retired. We track the areas that are now under improved nutrient management through either nutrient management plans or, as you see in the photo on the right, GPS technology for precision farming. And overall, we calculate the amount of nutrients that are no longer going into our waterways. And this builds on and uses the calculator, the phosphorus calculator that South Nation developed as part of their phosphorus trading program. So we can actually count cumulatively over the years the reduction and the protection of our watercourses. So from a financial perspective, overall for the completed projects, the 37 projects, they were a total value of $140,000, and this again is a combination of contribution from the city as well as from landowners. Our overall expenses for the program in 2015 was just under $150,000, and as we discussed and you agreed to in September, the cumulative surplus from this phase of the program is being used to fund this year's program and contribute to 2017. So as a result, there was no special levy request from South Nation for this year's program. So as Dixon mentioned, we wanted to take advantage of the opportunity of being here to give you a little bit of a highlight of steps taken to date to start implementing the new program. So this new program came into effect in January, and as you recall, one of the sets of changes we did was we looked at and revised the grants that are being offered. So we now are offering grants in 18 different types of projects, and of those we've introduced 4 new project types. So cover crops, which are really important for protecting against soil erosion over winter, support to the development of forest management plans, and again, in part, so that landowners can be eligible for provincial tax incentives. A more general category where we want to be able to respond to innovation by landowners, again, for projects that demonstrate a direct benefit to water quality. And then the very targeted support to septic system repairs and replacements. The other program change we made in terms of projects was we modified and we enhanced the implementation support for these very critical stream bank stabilization and naturalization projects. So landowners have the opportunity now to work much more closely with our Conservation Authority partners to both plan and implement that project. The other key change that we talked about in September, the recommendation from the review, was to look at opportunities to enhance our promotion and outreach. And I'm pleased to say that a lot of these measures have already been put into place for our promotion for the spring program. So we've got fancy new postcards, and if your offices don't have them yet, be pleased to make sure you get those. Those have already been distributed through a mailbag drop and are available at our rural client centers and other rural centers. We've continued with our tried and true methods of our community and farming newspaper and online ads, a strong presence at the farm show, at rural fairs, and at the Eastern Ontario Crop Conference. But we've also already started with efforts for more presence at community meetings and farmer meetings. So we had people out at the Soil and Crop Improvement Association annual general meeting and also at the Ontario Woodlot Association AGM, again recognizing we have new project types that are being supported. Various community meetings, so for example, the Mud Creek Sub-Watershed Study community meeting, a real chance for, I think, for the city to show how it works hand in hand, our planning and also our implementation together on that front. And then lastly, we are looking at ways to better promote and to discuss some of our more newer technologies like controlled tile drainage, for example. So there was a workshop that happened where tile drain contractors, our drainage supers, and farmers and other representatives were out to learn about that. Last slide. Again, I'm pleased to say that we've had a good indication of interest in the program so far. We have 52 applications that have been received, so these have not yet been through the review and site visit and approval process yet. And these are a combination of projects that weren't completed last year, which are being reapproved this year, and then also new projects. And of these, I'm also pleased to tell you that of our 4 new project types, we've received interest and an application in all those types. So that's a very promising start to 2016. So just to sum up, 2015, our most popular projects were our stream bank stabilization and our well decommissioning. 2016 is off to a good start. Very happy to continue to work with your offices to continue to get the word out and be pleased to answer any questions that you have.
Good, thank you very much for your presentation. Councillor Chantieri, I believe, has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Ms. Robinson, for your presentation. One of your slides talk about the septic system repair, and when I inquire about this, there's a process. I'm not sure how many folks know about the process, how to qualify for the septic system repair help. And when we called before, I know there's a limited funding for this. So can you tell me a little bit, because it doesn't seem like you spent any money here on a septic system repair, a grant, if it is grant, so can you?
Yeah. Sorry, am I on, or do I need to press?
You're on now.
Okay, good. I won't touch it. So this project was not offered in the last 5 years, which is why it's not showing up in the 2015 numbers. It was offered in the former phase, which ended in 2010. We did not offer it in 2011 to 2015, and then as a result of the review, we've reintroduced it starting in 2016.
And you introduce it with how much funding will be available when you?
So the grant, I'm just looking at my cheat notes because I don't remember any of the specifics anymore. So it is a grant of up to $1,000, a 50% cost share, but it is particularly, we've targeted it for the highest risk areas. So it's for properties that are within 50 meters from a water body or within a wellhead protection area. And the other element is we did put a total cap of $20,000 per year on it, to respond to the challenge we had in the previous phase, where really the vast majority of the program funds were going to this. So we did want to put some, just to make sure that we were targeting it to the highest risk projects. But that grant is available now.
So it is back available now? And
Yes.
So
Yeah.
the $1,000, that's just cost sharing for repair, not for replacement?
No,
or
it
for
would be repair or replacement, as long as you meet the conditions for the grant.
Well, I would like not just your office, but also the rural affair to start promoting this, because we get a lot of question about it when we eliminate it, and now we put it back on, but I think how many people are going to know
Right,
about it?
who are aware of it.
We heard through Mississippi Valley Conservation, this, we're thinking about putting it back on, which is ironically, we heard it there first, but anyway, I like to be able to promote this more so people know about it, because as you know, a lot of folks in West Carleton, they are a waterfront, and I think have this program available to help them, that would be a great news for us, so we need to work on this. So thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Rosh. Any other questions, comments? Well, just want to thank you for your work on this. I know it's of great value. A lot of times we hear about the financial burden of environmental stewardship, but clearly what you show here is that there's a lot of benefits. There's a lot of benefits to farmers in terms of financial savings while protecting the environment. That's what's great about the nutrient management plan and those types of things. So thank you so much for your work on that. So on the report that the Agricultural Affairs Committee received a report for information? Received? Thank you very much. Good, so that's it for our regular agenda. We move on to the open mic session, I think. So there's no in-camera items, so we have one delegation for our open mic session. I believe it's Kate Senyak. Is that right? Kate? So Kate is one of the workers at the OLG slots at the Rio Carleton Raceway. Of course, many people are likely aware that they were locked in, I think, 4 months ago. And just recently, we've had correspondence with them. I know Councillor DeRusse has as well, but looking to speak to the city. And unfortunately, there's no opportunity to speak at committees such as the Finance and Economic Development Committee or at Council. But of course, we have this, so I'm happy you accepted my invitation to come and speak today. So feel free. That microphone right there is on, so you can just pick it up and move it because it's mobile.
Just play musical chairs.
No worries.
Okay. So thank you very much for allowing us to speak to your committee. As you know, 124 OLG workers were locked out on the 15th of December 2015. We are still locked out today because OLG wants to remove our pension language from the collective agreement, and we simply cannot agree to this. Furthermore, we have not had a pay raise since 2009. OLG's current offer would amount to 3.5% over 10 years, or on average 7 cents per year. According to Statistics Canada, the cost of living in Ottawa has risen 11% since 2009. As a result of the lockout, the revenue to the city dropped approximately $800,000 between Q2 and Q3 2015-2016, and around 1 million since last year. We had been locked out for only 2 weeks in Q3. The Q4 results have not been disclosed yet, but I am sure that with OLG's reduced hours since mid-December, the shortfall will be greater than that. Who is going to pay for that discrepancy? OLG intends to privatise, or as they contend to modernise, their gaming facilities across the province. Last year, OLG slots and casinos made $2 billion in profit. Why would Kathleen Wynne's Liberal government want to sell off such a profitable Crown corporation? Many, including MPP Lisa MacLeod, have speculated that the provincial government has plans to put the racetracks like Rideau-Carleton out of business and relocate casinos to a more accessible location. The mandate of OLG at Rideau-Carleton is to try and make the site more attractive to a private operator, which will jeopardise the future of RCR and its surrounding community. For 17 years, OLG has been subsidising racetracks across Ontario. Do you think a private operator will do the same for our rural community? It appears OLG and the Liberal government no longer wish to support an industry that employs thousands of rural Ontarians. The slots at the track was introduced to provide jobs and economic development in rural communities across Ontario, including Ottawa. Now it would seem OLG is intent on destroying those jobs. OLG is not treating anyone in the City of Ottawa with their own values of accountability, integrity and respect. OLG has no problem spending money to fight their employees. Think of the money that they are continuing to spend on an elite security and crisis management company from its Canadian base in Milton, Ontario. Now, a few days ago, OLG spent $20,000 to bring in an injunction against us. What respect are they showing you or the people of Ottawa? Why does an Ontario Crown Corporation feel that they can treat people this way and not be held accountable? Where is their integrity? OLG is not only hurting their staff. The loss in revenue is huge. Reduced hours of operation are impacting and creating hardship for the workers at the racetrack, the horsemen, and are causing physical and mental anguish to the locked-out workers. We are all suffering because of this situation. Your revenue is diminished. Locked-out workers are being seriously injured by drivers. Cruise night has been postponed until the dispute is ended. The list of hardships at Rideau-Carleton goes on. Safety has now become an issue. PSAC trained us in picket line safety, provided us with reflective vests and lights in the evening. They have liaised with Ottawa Police and have addressed any safety concerns Councillor DeRose has brought up. PSAC also asked OLG as far back as January to instruct its clients and staff to exercise caution and have patience when entering the facility. OLG has not done this. Albion Road is a main north-south corridor. The injunction now places not only us, but the customers and other people using Albion Road in danger. People visiting Rideau-Carleton have never been sensible turning into the property, i.e. making illegal left turns and blocking traffic, entering the exit lanes. After numerous incidents of customers dangerously using exit lanes to enter the facility, we were issued with stop and no entry signs. We are no longer allowed to use these because of the injunction. On the evening of the 2nd of May, we tried out the instructions in the injunction. It confused the customers, who are used to having more space in which to turn, and it's leaving the back end of their cars obstructing the road. This is now a serious health and safety issue. In conclusion, we ask you to look into the revenue shortfall for the city and its impact on the rural community. We would also urge you to consider the implications of OLG's modernisation plan on rural Ottawa. Finally, we need you to look at ways to ensure the safety of the picketers on the line that respects our constitutional rights and ensure the safety of our community. Thank you.
so we'll take some questions.
Thank you for that. Yes, I think this council is certainly last term council, we're very familiar with the OLG's modernization plan. It would have a devastating impact on all of rural Ontario. You look at facilities from across the province, and their intention was, and it was quite clear, their intention was to close these facilities and open up larger super casinos, essentially in such as Gananoque. They wanted to close Gananoque and open up a larger casino in Kingston. I think they've moved away from that, but clearly now they've focused their efforts in other places, all of which shows that the OLG really doesn't know how to run their corporation. And I don't think the provincial government has helped a whole lot in that. Certainly didn't help last time. Oh, sorry, you don't have to clap. You don't have to clap for that. But it's just it's been unfortunate how it's transpired. I know our council has been a strong supporter of Rideau-Carleton Raceway and ensuring that it maintains its viability at its current location, and that if any future casino was to happen in the city, it would happen at the Rideau-Carleton Raceway. That's something that council made a clear direction on last term, and I think we would still support that today. But I know Councillor Drews has been working on this. I'll just give him an opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Kate, and thank you for all the lockout employees for being here today. This is started back in December, and it's been a very difficult issue in my ward because the lockout employee, they are from my ward. RCR is in my ward, and the commuter that they travel that road in my ward. And as you know, you just mentioned it in your speech, Albion Road is one of the major artery. It's a truck route. It's around 9,800 car and every day travel that route. So I do just want to say that I met with you before. I've been having lots of talk with PSAC, with RCR, with the police, with the bylaw to keep making sure that the safety and component it's the most and prioritized issues. As you know, that I did send a letter back in January to the Premier, to the Finance Minister, and I sent an open letter to every party to be able to sit down on a table. As you know, this is a labor dispute, and in the city of Ottawa, we do not have the power or the issue to get involved in the province matter, and I know you know that. And just for the public that they're here listening to this, I just want to put a couple important fact into this. To me, is my intention is to have you inside working and not outside on the picket line. Throughout the winter, I work with you and I work with RCR, and it was lots of cooperation. And to my disappointing that this is still going on, because we do not have cooperation from the provincial government at to this point. Also, one of your lockout employee was hurt in this incident, and to this incident, two people that their life will never be the same. One of them is the guy who got hit in the car, and the other thing is the person who hit that guy. All of a sudden, this guy now have a criminal record, and and his life will never be the same. So to me, this is a very important issue. And my issue and my concern is the safety, the public safety aspect of it. I always look out to making sure you guys are well protected from cars, because cars like weapon, they can just come at you and demonstrate a lot of damage. On April 18, after the incident, I did reissue another open letter also to the Minister of Finance and to the Premier, and I sent it to all our provincial members and to the police. And right now I do have, I want to thank my councillor colleague, Councillor Chantiri, and I want to thank the police chief, Chief Bordolo, for working with me to making sure your safety is coming first before. Your priority is getting your word out, making sure that you get your pension and making sure that getting your rights back, but also as a councillor for that ward and as representing of 30,000 residents in Ward 20, to making sure that no one's getting hurt, because I do not want to hear and I do not want to see anybody getting hurt on this line. So I've been working closely with you, and I've been working closely with the police and RCR. I've been putting lots of effort. I travel that road every day. I go to check on you guys more often, and I speak with the picketers, the lockout employee. And you guys create a relationship now with even with the patrons of the Rideau Carleton, so that people stop by and ask you. I receive tons of email. This is one hot issue in my office. As you know, this is a truck route, and I really have a lot of concern. And now summer is coming, people losing money, like you mentioned in your speech. The city is losing revenue, RCR is losing revenue. You guys not getting paid, and this is creating an issue. I'm not sure what else we can do. If there is anything you would like directly from me to be working with you, you noticed last week to make sure to protect you guys. I talked to the city staff and the police, and we put now pylons on Albion Road to making sure no cars come from the east side, to making sure you guys are protected and not cars come at you, because I noticed when the car were turning right, they were coming at you, and I realized there is little changes on the lineup right now. So all these measures I'm doing for your protection, to making sure you guys are not getting hurt, and making sure also the commuter are not being distracted. My residents work hard. They're coming in the evenings to their ward, to their homes, and I want to make sure there is no traffic jam, making sure that they pass Albion safe, and also there is the safety of you. So these are in collaboration of everything. We're working with PSAC, we're working with RCR, we're working with the police. I do right now receive a daily report from Ottawa OPS on what's going on. I send Bylaw to making sure that everybody's, no one's parking illegally, to making sure they're not trying to bypass a car. So again, for the safety of you and the commuter. If there is anything else that we could do in this committee, I'm not sure, Mr. Chair, if a letter from Iraq, also not only open letter from me, maybe will help on this, because as you know, this is not a city. We don't have the power to negotiate, and it's a provincial issue. We need to send a letter to the finance minister, to the premier, and to OLG, to making sure we address these issues, because I don't see it to getting any better. Summer is going to be out. People's driving more on that road, and I have lots of concern for both for the lockout employee and for the patrons and for the resident of Osgood Ward, and that fact. But Kate, if you have anything else suggestion you like to bring it to my attention, something within my power, that's something I can do with the Bylaw or the police or the city, I'll be more than happy. I did work with you, and I remember that you guys wanted they didn't let you to have a fire in the winter. I made sure that you guys were allowed to put a little stand cell. So
no, we really do appreciate everything you have done for us, Councillor Deroux, really.
But if there is anything in this matter, you know, my door is always open. You came visit me on Tuesdays. You know that my door is open, and you want to have a conversation. But I'm not sure if the chair will be willing, or Iraq will be able to help you with a letter from us, see if we can put more weight into this issue.
Thank you very much.
I just wanted to mention, Councillor, as you may or may not know, OLG filed an injunction last Friday that actually pushes us even closer out onto Albion Road, and thus increases the likelihood of an accident or a serious injury. And that injunction also prohibits us from carrying the do not enter signs, which we were carrying in the exit lanes, and that made a lot of the employees feel safe having these signs, and it seemed that the patrons and the motorists were respecting these signs, and now we no longer have that ability due to the injunction from OLG. So I don't know if there's anything that the committee can do, perhaps liaison with PSAC to help in maybe changing the rules of the injunction, or even going so far as to help in eliminating it or quashing the injunction of OLG, because it is going to cause a serious health and safety risk.
Can I just mention as well, with regard to the injunction, if somebody goes down the exit, we're not allowed to turn around and go, no, don't go down there, that's the exit. We just have to let them go, and I think it was Tuesday night, there was nearly a head-on collision. But the injunction says that we are not allowed to have anything to do, or even, so they're still going down the exit. It's, Debbie got clipped again,
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So, just a quick question to our legal counsel. What role would the city have in terms of an injunction like that if we could get involved and make comment to it? Is there a role?
Mr. Chair, there's no role for the city, unfortunately. An injunction is a final court order. And so these arguments would have been made before a court, and the court accepted a set of arguments and made an order.
Now, they're seeking injunction, or
They've put it on.
They filed,
They filed.
sorry, but it has not been brought to
Has been
court
granted yet.
It hasn't been granted yet.
So in that
Arguments
case,
have not been made.
okay, so if arguments haven't been made, in that case, is there a role for the city to at least have some influence in how, and we can talk about this later, I mean, this doesn't need to be answered right now.
Perhaps we could just discuss this later,
Yeah.
just because it is legal advice. and
For sure. No, I
would
appreciate
like
that. That's
to
good. So this is something we can, I'll work on with Councillor DeRuse, and happy to, any sort of thing, anything that we can do in terms of a letter to the OLG. It's interesting, you hear all the comments from Councillor DeRuse, everyone's working on trying to make things better, except for the OLG, just based on everything he said. So we'll see, we'll do what we can. I mean, obviously, we are very supportive. I know Councillor DeRuse and myself are both very supportive of Real Carleton Raceway and the people that make it a success. So we want to help as much as we can.
And thank you very much for coming. But if you, in the interim, if there is anything you want to bring to my attention, like I said, and I did realize that's why that I saw the lineup is not into the property line. So I saw you in the front, and that's why the OPS suggested that we'll bring those larger cones, so the cars will not be coming at you directly, so at least we'll give you that little buffer. But personally, I do agree with you, it's not enough and it's not sufficient. I do have a lot of concern about the public safety, not only for the commuter, also for you. So, and that's why right now we're working very closely with OPS to making sure it's monitored daily, we're getting report daily, and this is just to making sure that this public safety is not a concern. It's a big concern for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillors. Thank you for accepting the invitation to come and speak today. I appreciate you doing that.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me.
No worries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. So that's it for the open mic session. There is no other speakers registered. Notices of motion for consideration at our next meeting. Received none. Inquiries? None. Other business? None. On adjournment? So moved. Carried. So our next meeting is scheduled for Friday, June 3rd. It would normally be Thursday, but Thursday is Food Aid Day and the Rural Expo at City Hall. So our next meeting has been moved to the Friday. Thank you very much.